ultimately on Saturday night, RC, the fights was about Jared Cannonier and Kelvin Gastelum, and it absolutely delivered. It was a great fight from start to finish. The whole fight night was fantastic. But as we leave that fight, as we leave the Apex, you look at a Jared Cannonier, a guy who was ranked number 3 in the world, was in a number 1 contenders fight last time, beats another top guy. What do you expect him to do? Because I asked Jared in the middle of the octagon, I'm like, hey, man, the champ has been saying he wants to fight you, right? You know that Whittaker and Adesanya are fighting again. Do you want to try to wait, maybe weigh in as an alternate, or do you want to fight again? Dude sits up there and goes, well, I'm broke, so I need a fight. But at times, you have to value prestige in the division over financial. So when you look at Jared Cannonier in this situation, what do you think that he should do? Do you think that Jared should continue to fight? Maybe fight the winner of next week's fight between Till and Brunson? Or just wait to see if he gets an opportunity and injury happens or something between Adesanya versus Whittaker?
I mean, I think it's all about planning, DC. It's about, can Jared Cannonier get a fight early enough before the 2022 meeting of the champion and Robert Whittaker to maybe be prepared and ready to be a guy that could step into that fight. We've talked about money on this show probably more than I've talked about money on any NFL show, even throughout free agency, whether it's a lack of money, whether it's making decisions because the money is right. And that seems like where Jared Cannonier is. Let's think about this dude, bro. He starts out in heavyweight, right? He moves down to 205, naturally starts working and works his way into this powerful, huge 185-pounder who gets the contender fight and loses to Robert Whittaker. Now, there is no shame in that. But this is a dude saying he doesn't have any money, that he got houses in Alaska, he has fees to pay and all these different things. He seems like he's trying to get back in the octagon right now. So if I'm him, I look at the Brunson and the Till fight, and if those guys win quick, right? If it's a quick KO, if it's a quick submission, I try to press the UFC to give me that fight right away to set myself up to be there for the Izzy and Whittaker winner, or to be able to step in if one of those guys has to pull out.
So for me, it's a little bit different, right, RC? So I love what you're saying. But my opinion varies a little bit, because here's what I think. I think that they fight next week, Brunson and Till, but I don't think that they fight right away. I think they wait. I think they wait and they fight along the same timeline as the champion versus the former champion, Robert Whittaker.
I got you.
Because if you have a championship fight scheduled, and then in the co-main event, if it's not a 2-title fight card, you have Cannonier versus Till/Brunson. Now you have not only 2 big fights in the middleweight division, you keep both of those matchups in line with each other. So at the end of the fight night, you have your next title already done. But not only does that come into play, you also have a reserve in case one of the guys get hurt. We both know, after watching the heavyweight title fight, an interim championship can pop up just about out of anywhere, right? So if the champ Adesanya gets hurt, maybe one of these guys fights Robert Whittaker for an interim title. But if all goes according to plan, now you have the champ, whoever comes out of that fight the winner of Cannonier versus Brunson/Till in the next championship fight. So I think the timeline needs to stay along the same course, so but that you have all those things that can play into effect with each other.
Right, DC. But so if you're Jared Cannonier, to me, you have to take the winner of Brunson and Till, because from what you're saying, if that timeline lays out, right, if you get the Cannonier Till or Cannonier Brunson fight around the same time you get Whittaker Izzy, for a dude who's saying that he needs money, he can't wait that long. You can't, listen, if was the 5th, we'd all be drunk. And so he can't just be sitting around waiting for someone to not be able to fight, or waiting for an opportunity to get one of those top dudes and pass over a fight that could get him money, pass over a fight that could solidify him as the #1 contender out after the Izzy Whittaker winner is declared. And so to me, this is a no-brainer for Jared Cannonier. You can't wait. You can't wait. Go out once again and show that you belong. And if you believe in your skills, the same way I know guys like you did or any other top contender does, you think you're going to win the fight anyway. Win the fight, make the money, build the championship fight up even more, because now you're 100% solidified, and go get the money that maybe you can raise the stakes of that championship fight.
That's exactly what Robert Whittaker did, right? When he lost the title fight, he went and fought Darren Till, and then he fought Jared Cannonier. put himself right back into title contention. Cannonier has that opportunity himself, right? Cannonier is fighting against Kelvin Gastelum, and then he can fight against the winner of that fight next week. There's also guys out there, right? Marvin Vettori. There's also Paulo Costa. There are many matchups that he could take in order to further his title contendership, but I think this one works the absolute best. It's an interesting time for the middleweight divisional because now you got a whole bunch of guys jumbled along the top that could potentially challenge the champion.
DC,
Israel
I have one
Adesanya.
question for you. I have a big fighter question for you though. Is there a fear if you're taking the Till Brunson winner or you're fighting against Costa Vettori that you could lose? That losing that fight in the same way and losing to Robert Whittaker puts you out of contention, or at least didn't have you with that next step to fight for the championship. If I'm a Jared Cannonier, should I be worried about that and saying, yeah, even though the money is good and the money is needed, I'd rather wait on that championship bout because it's more eyes, more money, and the opportunity to be even richer than I've ever been if I win?
You know, the thing about Jared Cannonier is that he's not afraid, right? And people are just kind of wired differently. Like in football, Ryan, you guys rush out to you're 8-7. You know you got to go to 9-7 to make the playoffs. There's no option to not play that team that might be 10-5. You know what I'm saying? You got to go play them. And I think that's the same thing with fighters, right? We got to go and just fight the fight. And Jared Cannonier isn't really worried about his position because even in losing to Robert Whittaker, his stock rose. He broke his arm. He broke his arm, a bad injury, and was able to go 5 rounds with the former champion and be competitive in a lot of spots. So that one win over Kelvin Gastelum still elevates Jared Cannonier to a position where he could challenge for a title. But Darren Till has a great mouthpiece, right? Guy loves to talk. Derek Brunson's on the best roll of his entire career. So if he wins one more over one of those guys, it truly would catapult him into a legit title shot challenger against Adesanya. And what a visual it would be to see the beast that is Jared Cannonier fighting the tall, lanky athlete that is Israel Adesanya, man. It would be fantastic.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.